Marilyn Monroe is one of the most known movie stars of old Hollywood. Even people who haven't seen a single one of her movies recognize her face. Today, Marilyn Monroe would have celebrated her 95th birthday. As a huge Marilyn fan, I definitely wanted to honor her as well. There are plenty of videos here on YouTube talking about her tragic life story, but I wanted to do something different. So here are 6 facts about Marilyn you most likely don't know about, except you are a superfan. Fact number 1. Being a film star was Marilyn's dream since her childhood. Marilyn's childhood was a hard one. Most of the time she grew up in orphanages or foster homes because of the mental illnesses of her mother. Growing up in Los Angeles, the Hollywood studios were always present for her. She once told that foster families sent her to the cinema to get her out of the house, and that she loved watching movies even if there was no popcorn. She even used to visit Grauman's Chinese theater, a place where famous movie stars perpetuate their hand and footprints on the ground. When I was older, I used to go to Grauman's Chinese theater and try to fit my food in the prints and the salmon there, and I'd say, oh, my food's too big, I guess that's out. I did have a funny feeling later when I finally put my foot down into the cement. I sure knew what it really meant to me. Anything's possible. Almost. Fact number 2. She did a lot of charity work. Marilyn Monroe never forgot about her roots. As soon as she had her first movies, she visited orphanages and later charity events. She always supported organizations that fought for children and their health care. Beside that, there are some stories about her supporting families without wanting to be recognized as the famous actress she was. When she moved to Roxbury with her third husband, Arthur Miller, she got to know about a boy who had lost his mother. Because the family hadn't much money, Marilyn secretly paid for the funeral. Only the pastor of that little village knew about that, but was asked to keep it secret. The money the community had collected for the funeral wasn't needed anymore, so that the family could use it for their children's education and could move to a place with better conditions. It was years later that the family found out about Marilyn's donation because of an entry the pastor did into the rectory's book. But Marilyn had already passed away. Fact number 3. Marilyn didn't speak bad about others. Well, I, of course, don't know if she really never spoke bad about her colleagues or friends, but until now I haven't seen a single example of Marilyn Monroe doing that. For example, her co-star in Gentlemen Prefer Blondes, Jane Russell, got $200,000 for her role, whereas Marilyn only got $500 a week. Still, she said about Jane that she was quite wonderful to her. She even said about 2 of her husbands, Joe DiMaggio and Arthur Miller, after being divorced from both, "Because of fame, I was able to meet and marry 2 of the nicest men I'd ever met up to that time."
One woman who ever worked with Marilyn ever say one cross or derogatory word about her. And that in itself is monumental. Have you? Never.
She had just a tremendous amount of sympathy and empathy and feeling for people, situations, and she was always a little unhappy and mad at the big boys, you know.
Never a hairdresser, never a wardrobe woman, or you never heard, or a woman with whom she was working, you have never heard one woman say a cross word about her.
She was certainly not your dumb blonde at all. She's a very bright, sensitive girl.
The crew loved her, honest to God. She was a darling to the crew.
She had a lot of empathy and understanding, and she had a fey sense of humor, which was really very cute. And they all adored her.
For her loyalty, she was immensely loyal to a fault, really, to her friends, to anyone she knew. She had great sympathies for people. she was really as straight and decent as you could want. You know, she was a very humorous girl. Actually, one of the funniest girls on The Natural that I've ever met, really. Funny girl she was, really.
Fact number 4. Marilyn was a great reader. Marilyn was nothing like the dumb blonde many people thought of her. She loved reading and even had a library of over 400 books at home. She always wanted to be remembered as a reader. That's why you can see her reading in many photos that has been taken of her. Rachel Brand, manager of Martindale's bookstore in 1954, once said, "Marilyn is a great reader. Marilyn has been a great reader since way back, long before she was Marilyn Monroe. She reads Kafka, Thomas Mann, and authors like that. No cheap stuff." Fact number 5. Marilyn had endometriosis. Marilyn suffered from endometriosis, which is an often painful disorder women can suffer from. Endometriosis means that tissue similar to the tissue that normally lines the inside of a uterus grows outside of a suffering woman's uterus. The illness mostly involves the ovaries, fallopian tubes, and the tissue lining your pelvis. Rarely endometrial tissue can spread beyond pelvic organs. Often women with endometriosis have problems to become pregnant. So did Marilyn. She desperately wanted to have a child, but had 3 miscarriages. Fact number 6. Marilyn didn't own much expensive jewelry and loved casual styles. Although one of Marilyn's most known roles is the one of Lorelei Lee singing "Diamonds Are a Girl's Best Friend" in the movie Gentlemen Prefer Blondes, Marilyn herself didn't own much expensive jewelry. The only items with real value were the diamond wedding band and the pearl necklace of Mikimoto pearls she got as a present from her second husband, Joe DiMaggio. Almost all other items were costume jewelry. When people think of Marilyn's style, most would describe it as very elegant, maybe a nightgown and diamond jewelry. But when you look at photographs taken of her at home, you can see that she preferred a casual wardrobe. She often wore cigarette pants and shirts in muted colors. This fact really shows how much the real Marilyn differed from her movie roles. Jewelry and expensive dresses weren't that important to her. Susan Strasberg, the daughter of Lee Strasberg, who has lived 8 years together with Marilyn, claims the same in an interview.
The strange thing was that there I was thinking that she was the American dream and wanting to be like her. And one day she turned to me and she says, "Oh, Susie, don't say that you want to be like me. I want to be like you." And I said, "Marilyn, why?" And she said, "Because people respect you."
And she always felt that people didn't respect her.
Yeah, and that's really all she wanted, was to be seen for who and what she really was. Marilyn, of all the stars that I know, particularly female ones, she didn't care about diamonds. It's funny, she sang Diamonds as a Girl's Best Friend. She didn't care about diamonds. She didn't care about furs. She really cared about being accepted for who she really was, which is, I think, what we all want.
So that's all for now. If you have more interesting facts about Marilyn, please let me know in the comments. If you liked this video, just subscribe to my channel. See you next time. Your Mary.